No, Greg Giuffria from the band Angel was not related to the people from the Hilltop Steakhouse in Saugus. You're thinking of Frank Giuffrida. Completely different last name. And yeah, so you're wrong about that, but I mean, you're usually wrong. You ever hear that song Punky's Whips by Frank Zappa? Yeah, she hung up on me. Welcome to Talk About the Passion. Today we're going to talk about Rush. If you're a fan of the band, you probably know that they recently started playing again. Recently, like 2 days ago. And they're playing it tonight. So that's exciting. And yeah, I know that they're not from Montreal. So I know. Also, Geddy Lee is a big baseball fan, obviously. You'll see him in the Toronto Blue Jays games a lot behind home plate. So that's always exciting. I'm probably not going to see that now because he's on tour. But anyway, at one point in my life, I was lucky enough to meet Geddy and Alex with like a group of people. When I worked at Rounder Records, they came through Mansfield, and but I mentioned him because I knew he had a fantasy baseball team, and I asked about his fantasy baseball team, and he was kind of excited that I asked about that. So that was fun. Anyway, I got to meet Geddy Lee once, and then they shuffled me along. But anyway, I'm supposed to be working on the next episode, the 1978, I think, is the next 1979. I even have the stuff here. We got a lot of stuff here. There's a Crass album. There's a Van Halen in here. There's XTC, The Clash, The Police. You got one of these guys. You ever see this thing? We're talking about Rush. Sorry. When this was initially announced that they were going to play some shows, fans longtime fans like myself, I've loved them forever. One of my favorite bands. Oh, they probably are my favorite band. So I was initially, I was excited immediately, and then I don't know why, for a minute I was kind of against it. They were calling it Rush. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. And now, now I'm all fine with it because it is Rush, and they're celebrating that music. And so it was exciting to the lead up to it all, the interviews that they were giving, talking about, how they were building the set lists and all the songs they were doing. And I was just imagining, Anika, having to look at this whole discography of music, from like what they sounded like in 1974 to 2013 or whenever the last record came out. Well, it was at least one of the last tours. So it's quite a body of music, obviously. That's like all over the place too, and. I don't have anything prepared for this, so I don't have anything. I have the set lists and some stuff here. But I didn't really just turn this thing on. I was on the phone. And she's always wrong, though, about that. It's joking around. But so I was excited about this. And then, I saw ticket prices. But now I've seen that they've gone down for the Boston and Connecticut shows, which I think I have decided I'm definitely going to try to make it, especially after seeing this the other night. So I just wanted to give my sort of thoughts, like, not that it matters, but that's what we do on this channel. We give our thoughts on music. So that's what I kind of wanted to do here. And so I'm just going to go through the set list, quick, not quickly, but and then we'll talk a little bit about it. I get the Motorhead Bomber Deluxe reissues. The vinyl over there too. The vinyl's in the stack too. Don't worry about it. So they opened. I'm also into the Grateful Dead and Fish and stuff like that. So a big part of that culture in that world is guessing the tour opener, the opener of a set and that kind of stuff, which is fun. And even with a band like Rush, that it didn't really change the set list around night to night. But even with a band like them, it was always exciting when a new tour happened, and you would find. I tried to not know what they played until I went, to see them. In the last tours when you could look that stuff up on the internet. When you were going to the Grace Under Pressure tour. Unless you knew like a kid that saw them in like New Haven the other night, and he called you on the phone and got a busy signal and had to like call back, and then called back, and your mother needed the phone, so he couldn't really go through the whole set with you. He got to like the Body Electric, and then his mother needed the phone or whatever. I was thinking about I don't own any Rush shirts. Of course, I own a Kansas Monolith shirt though. I remember being jealous of my friend Bryant Murphy, one of my best friends back in the day, high school. Him and Mark Bottolato, good dudes, solid guys still. And we always wore denim jackets. But I remember Bryant Murphy, who also recently I was on the Hard Lore podcast. They had the fellow from Randy Blythe was on there recently, and he's from Richmond, and that's where Bryant lives now. And he brought his name up because apparently they were in a band together, which I didn't know that, which is kind of weird hearing Bryant Murphy's name on Hard Lore. R.I.P. Bo. But so where was I going with that? Bryant Murphy. He had a Grace Under Pressure baseball shirt. That was awesome. It was, white with the black sleeves. I have the Dodgers game on, and they're playing the Pirates tonight. They're tied up now. Sorry, Paul Skeens. But I just looked over, and I literally thought it was like a duck pitching. That's also why I hit record on this pretty quick tonight, because I something got put into my system a little while ago that might make it a little more difficult to do something like this, like a half hour from now. So let's get on through this. So a big part of the culture of bands I like is always just set any band. Like Youth of Today. Like, oh, what is Youth of Today playing on this tour? And stuff like that. So Rush, people. I didn't think they were just going to open with Spirit of Radio, but you never know. But so they open with Xanadu, which Rick Beato has done a bunch of Rush stuff recently. He had Alex and Getty on, of course, and but he mentioned on one of those that Xanadu is he's claimed that that's like the best Rush song, and I kind of agree with him. It's one of my that's definitely in my top 3. It's hard with a band like this because of the just the wealth of music, and just like comparing something from Hold Your Fire to something on Fly By Night is I just find it's hard to do that with these bands that have these expansive careers and discographies, where this stuff is, oh my God, is all over the place. So yeah, Xanadu, I thought that was like making a statement. Just if you're like a hardcore Rush fan, anyone that watched that, or was that, I just imagine if you were there and you were one of the and I'm not one of those people who's like, if you're a casual Rush fan, you're not as important or cool as like someone like me who's been a fan since 1982, Subdivisions, Signals era, and but to open with Xanadu was sort of like a message to like people like us. I think not a message, but just like here's what we sound like. You know what I mean? So I thought that was perfect, and every video I've watched of these performances from that show, I got choked up watching it. Watching this woman, succeed and just like fucking kill it in this. is amazing, and just, you know, she has the vibe. My good friend Bro messaged me today, and he, you know, he's the same thing. He said he's you know, I hadn't, you know, he's one of my best friends, and, you know, we're in a band together for many years, Presley. But he messaged me, and he said, you know, something to that effect, where she's, you know, she's got the vibe here. But all the videos I've watched, I got like choked up watching them. Whatever, you know. And also, and then just, and so much focus was put on her, I think, and just, one thing it did two things for me. One thing, it made me sort of listen to Neil more, you know, again. You know, obviously, you know, after hearing these songs forever, you at this point as a fan, at least for me with bands like this, I listen to it as a unit, you know. Obviously, you can sit there and, you know, let me listen to what Geddy's doing or whatever. But when you first started listening to this band, you kind of went through all three of them, you know, which is with a lot of music, you know, when you first get into it. And so I was focused on the drums, and which I imagine a lot of people were, which, you know, that's a lot of fucking pressure for anybody. So kudos, you know. I think they sounded amazing. And then the other thing it did is it made me then go back and do that. And, you know, so last night I watched the Villa Strangiato video, and for the second time, and I, you know, this one I got and it was a good one. It was the sound quality on it was really good. And during the part, you know, the Alex guitar solo with that famous drum beat, the first night I watched that I concentrated on the drum beat, which is, you know, that it's like one of those, like, you know, when you were like, I just remember like kids when we were younger, like drummers, like if you could play that, you were, you know, that was like the test if you were like a great drummer, if you could play that beat. I can't play that beat myself. And the way she played it, I thought, like, you know, I think a lot of the songs, she added some other stuff to it, which is, I think that's fine, you know. So, but with this one, the way she's playing, like the I don't know fucking drum shit, so I don't know what I'm talking about here. But it just sounded like the way she did like where the hi-hat kind of opens in that beat was almost like slower and smoother or longer or something. I don't know. If you're a drummer, let me know what the fuck I'm talking about here. Or maybe I was just, something was in my system or something. I get a lot of jazz cigarettes going on in here sometimes. Not with me. So Xanadu, Limelight. Fucking, I mean, is there better seconds? You know, like that's just like, okay, we did the fucking 7-8 minute Xanadu thing. You can see what the fuck we're up to right now. We're still tied. And then Limelight, and then Far Cry, which I really dig. That's from Snakes and Arrows, right? Is that from Snakes and Arrows? I got all the albums up on the thing here. Snakes and Arrows. That's a good fucking record. Do you know that record? You ever hear that record, buddy? Is it on here? Just give me a second. I'm new to this. Track list. Yeah, Far Cry. It's the first fucking song on there. But that's like in the tradition of a song like Big Money, or Force 10. I think it was sort of like one of those type of songs, which we talked about today on. I think part of the reason I'm doing this right now is I put a thing up on Facebook today, and asking people like what they thought about this would be the band was going to play tonight, because for the second night, and this is what I said on here. Okay, fucking Christ almighty. Okay, hardcore Rush fans, what do you think they open with tonight? Do they resort back to the old spirit of radio opener, or make another statement like they did with Xanadu? It would be cool if they did something like the Camera Eye or Circumstances, which I imagine will be on show up at one of these shows at some point. I remember they did Circumstances on our one of those tours. I don't remember which one. And then I said it would be even more cool if they opened with, you know, the Necromancer or Cygnus X one, but yeah, that's not going to happen. But, you know, I was thinking, and these are my picks. Not that it like, can I go on like FanDuel and guess I think there should be like a Rush. But I think it would be something like Animate or the camera. No, they played. I don't know. I lost the fucking thing here. Anyway, whatever they fucking open with or whatever they play, it's gonna be great. So then Far Cry, Subdivisions, or Free Will. And then Setlist FM I love is great, but it's like on these, I keep saying like the first time since 2013, like no shit, like Bravado, Caravan, Livio Strangiato, Vital Signs. I really love that song. Remember that video? That was like one of those, you know, that was one of the great videos when they had those videos from the Moving Pictures era of them in that studio, the snow outside and stuff. And Moving Pictures is, I think, the first studio record I heard by them. And I was taking this tonight on the drive home. I was listening to just a mix I made of just Rush stuff. And I was thinking about how bands like Led Zeppelin, who I love, The Who, The Stones, with them, I can't really listen, like, The Who, like, when I hear, like, just the studio version of Bob O'Reilly or Won't Get Fooled Again, if I hear the live ones from the Kids Are Alright soundtrack, that's a different thing. But, like, or, I don't know, whatever popular, like, Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. Like, it's a great song, but with Rush, all of their sort of like big hits, I can still just listen, like Free Will, Spirit of Radio, Tom Sawyer. The only one I had closer to the heart is maybe the only one I'm still just like, I just never really liked that one. It's great because it's like 3 minutes long, so you're in and you're out, boom. Shalak like boom. Hey, House of Pain fans out there, just comments. Hit me up. We'll do an episode on Shamrocks and Shillelagh. Anyway, Shamrocks and Shenanigans. I get the 12-inch single over here. So then the second set they open with, they close Vital Signs and then Spirit of Radio. It's a nice way to close that off, right? And then set 2 is 2112. You know, 1, 2, and 7. I don't know if they just did the whole like Discovery and all that shit. And then Distant Early Warning. But I was talking about hearing that Moving Pictures for the first time. So this was another one of these bands where the first stuff that clicked with me was Exit Stage Left. But the way the Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures, the way those albums are like produced. There's something about like Alex's guitar sound on that, and just it's so in your face and perfect. You know, I think I like Steely Dan, and people talk about their studio stuff and how great it sounds in it, and it does. But those two Rush albums just sound amazing. Anyway, so. Distant Early Warning, Red Barchetta. I wonder if he did this is a song about a car. Dreamline, Natural Science. That's pretty rad, huh? With little puddles and shit. Time Stands Still, and then Amy Mann came out. And that's pretty awesome. I was talking about when I had this thread on Facebook today about the set, just people. Then we just started talking about Rush with friends, and my friends Brian and Guy, who did a lot of episodes with me early on in this when it was just an audio podcast, and you should go look for those. we did a lot of just like crazy stuff. I had a lot of fun with those guys. And, you know, and they're huge Rush fans. Probably the two biggest Rush fans I know. And we had, you know, I had a great time talking about Rush with them today. So one of the things we were saying in here was, oh my God, I'm fucking all over the place here tonight. The thing disappeared again. I don't know. This is what happens when you don't have something prepared, but it's all right, right? We're just hanging out here. The door's open. We're still tied up over here. It's raining now in Pittsburgh. That looks fun for them. Red Sector A, YYZ, The Garden, and they close with Tom Sawyer. And then the encore is By Torn the Snow Dog. Which I think, you know, that one is another, you know, there's so many, like, you know, every fucking, you know, I watched all sort of like the tough drum ones before I went and watched, like, you know, it sounds stupid to say that, like, the drum beat in Subdivisions is not a hard thing to play or something, but you know what I'm getting at here. But so I went and watched By Tor, and that was another one where they just sound fucking great. And in La Villa, there was a synthesizer melody happening sort of towards the end of that was also really cool. And yeah, so I think I was looking at the first time I saw Rush was in 1982. So that was sort of right when I got into them. My life is a mess over here. Rush set list 12/2/82. That's actually it's 12/3/82. That's where I saw them. So Signals was the first record that I sort of really got into by the band, and they in Subdivisions was the song for, you know, it sounds like a cliche, but for kids like me, nerdy, fucking introverted kids, you know, we fucking, that song, like where I grew up, it was it was it spoke to us. So that tour came through Boston, and I went and saw them. And if I knew how to fucking use the internet at 56, you know, this wouldn't be such a situation. But apparently I can't. So we're just gonna go with the Madison Square Garden setlist because it was the fucking night before. Like, it's gonna be the same one. This is what I'm doing here. I'm looking for the next night when I saw them, which was 12/3/82. So at the time, you know, I got into that record and, you know, knew the stuff from Permanent Waves and, you know, and the stuff that was on the live records. Because I knew, well, the first Exit Stage Left, the second live record. So I knew Xanadu, Jacob's Ladder, The Trees, Closely, you know, all that kind of stuff. That was from the older records. But when I go back and look at that set list, because at the time, you know, that's why I love this set list FM site. But Spirit of Radio, Tom Sawyer, Free Will, Digital Man, which is a fucking rad song, Subdivisions, Vital Signs, The Camera Eye, Closer to the Heart, Chemistry, The Analog Kid, and then Bruin's Bane in the Trees. That's rad. Red Barchetta. I'll stop saying rad, sorry. The Weapon. That's when they had the, you know, Count Floyd introduction. I mean, they always did. New World Man, Limelight, Countdown. And then, you know, Overture, Temples of Syrinx, Xanadu, La Villa, like medley, This is the encore, 21. In the Mood, YYZ drum solo. Did it really end with a drum solo? That doesn't make sense. That song ends, right? I mean, I know it's like after the drum solo. Anyway, I'll stop talking. I feel like I've been talking a lot here. And some of this is probably not going to really sell. You know, because we're trying to sell shit here. And, but I'm pretty excited for this tour. And I think I'm going to go see it. And let me know in the comments, like, what you would like to see them play. If you're going to go to any of these shows. Because if you are, maybe we'll have a little get together of people. Because I think we're gonna try to go see them in maybe Connecticut or something. I just don't like going into the city anymore in Boston at this point, parking and all that shit. But yeah, going to a fucking casino in Connecticut, sure, that sounds great too. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this tour, and I'm excited to see what they do tonight. I imagine they're still going to play, you know, Tom's, you know, the hits, the you know, sort of the songs that they need to play. But it'll be cool to see, you know, what other records they pull stuff from. So, yeah. Anyway, Rush. I'm pretty fucking psyched. And, yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.